Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast, World Without Borders. My name is Megan, and I'm one of your hosts on the show, all the way from Cape Town, South Africa. And I want to welcome Renata and Suzy. Please, ladies, introduce yourselves.
Hello, my name is Renata Anderson, and I am originally from Brazil, but I'm zooming from Portland, Oregon.
Hello, my name is Suzy. I'm originally from Cameroon, but I'm going live from the US, Kentucky.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. And guys, thank you for joining us. We're so glad to be here with our first episode for you today. And I think today we're just going to ease into things and give you an idea of how all of this came about, what made the three of us end up in this space with you today, and where did the idea of World Without Borders come from? So I'm going to throw this one at Suzy because I think Suzy was the instigator in the entire process. And so, Suzy, just where did this thought process come from? And what made you reach out to the two of us?
Okay, thank you for that. So the actually it came from a conversation I had with somebody. I was interviewing somebody at the Have a Zero podcast, one of the podcasts I am hosting, and the person said, "Why not have a podcast about where we talk about the world?" And she gave an instinct of a name, and she was like, "Okay, the world and us." And I was like, why would that bother us? It sounds good to my head. What do you think? And she was like, oh, I like it. Let's do that. So after the podcast, I remember I reached out to her. I was like, are you still interested in doing it? Because guys, I'm someone that when we are talking, I just get the idea. I do it immediately. I don't plan. I'm a very bad planner. I just do it immediately as you're speaking. So I went on, created the logo, and I was like, oh, this is the logo. Let's do it. And she was like, she became so busy, she didn't respond to messages again. And I'm like, I am not somebody ideas die with. Ideas will never die with me. Never. So I was like, I know two wonderful people that actually traveled around the world. I can give us this view and this perspective of really what a world without borders look like. And so I started by reaching out to Renata, and she was like, she's in. And then I reach out to Megan because I see these are two women that see the world in a very special way. And guys, I wanted them to join this movement so that all together we can see the world in a very, very different and special way. So that is where the idea came from.
Awesome. Thank you, Suzy. And Renata, tell us, when Suzy reached out to you, what was going through your head?
Wow, I was so amazed and so happy with this invitation that she remembered my name. And I think it's an important mission that we have here to show everyone that we have much more in common than things that separate us. And the world insists to separate us, but we are, even harder on that. So we are going to show how, our backgrounds, our culture, even with the richness about that, in the end of the day, we have much more in common than we think, and that's what we want to share here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Renata. And I agree with you. When Suzy reached out to me as well, I was just like 10 seconds later, yes, let's do it. Sounds good. Let's jump into this. And I think now's a good time to just also tell our listeners and our viewers that for those that don't know, the three of us also share another podcast with another group of amazing women. And that's actually where some of us met on the other podcast within the YEA space. So this is just another addition to the journey that we're already walking, right?
Yes, definitely. I agree. And guys, as I always say, that collaboration is the key.
Yes.
Every time I see a way to collaborate with amazing people, I'm like, yeah, click the button. Click the button when you are doing this. This is definitely.
Suzy, don't hit the red button. That's all we got. we were just indulging in a bit of studio talk before we started the recording, and Suzy was telling us about her love for pressing red buttons. So Suzy, whatever you do, don't press the red button, not yet, right? And Renata, you mentioned something really important when you were responding to my previous question, saying that we have a lot more in common than not with one another. Although we scattered at different parts of the world, different ends of the world, there's still something that draws us together and makes sure that we actually can spend this time together and actually create some impact in our togetherness. And I think that's really important to highlight here, because this is how our worlds collided. I think the fact that all of us are busy with certain projects and the businesses we do, the work we carry out every day, it's all part of that process of us creating impact and being able to find collaboration spaces with one another, right? So really good point there, Renata. And please, while we are at it, Renata, share with everyone what it is that you do. What is it that you are creating impact in? And then we can move over to Suzy as well.
Well, I come from the humanitarian. That was my passion, how I dedicated my life. So that's why I lived in different countries with different culture. And I was so amazed by that, about the richness about our world, no, our world without borders. And that's how I see our world, because, we cannot forget that, after the COVID experience, we saw very clearly how that virus and hurricanes don't ask for visa, so they just come. So the borders are economic and political, and that's it. So as women, we are women, and I think that's the most important. It doesn't matter where are you from and what about
Yes.
your background. So that's why when Suzy invited me, I was like, oh yeah, I would love to be part of this project. And of course with Megan, so it's even better. So I was so excited, and here we are doing our first episode. And we want you to join us and subscribe and be part of this journey with us.
Yes. Thank you, Renata. Suzy, speak to us.
So I'm Suzy. I run a very huge NGO that is all about enhanced agriculture through ICT, and we just have a wonderful team. And my thought is, the world really doesn't have any borders. Like, I've met people around the world, and we got to share and we got to collaborate. And I was like, you know what? Let's do a podcast that will enlighten people more about this reality, and how we actually have never met. I haven't met anybody here in person, but we are so close that you can imagine that there is really no borders around the world. And
Yes.
I really love that aspect. So I come from that point of view. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Suzy. And I must agree, because when I stepped into the YEA space firstly, and then into World Without Borders with you guys, it's just like there's always room for more people, right? Always room for more people from more places. And I think in that way, COVID was a really good turnaround and blessing, I would say, because it showed us really what the possibilities are of opening ourselves up to meeting other people, working with other people, collaborating with other people, and just sharing with others. And it's all available to us at the click of a button, right? So I think it really has gotten to that point where we can literally just press the button, Suzy, and speak to someone on the other side of the world, right? So
Yeah.
that's the space we sit in. And obviously, it also amplifies the impact and the difference that we can make in whatever part of the impact space we work in as individuals or groups. So for me, I think it's also a big thing where taking each of us and putting us at different corners of the world and saying, right, just do your thing there, and then moving us around to a different spot doesn't make a difference anymore.
Yeah.
It really doesn't make a difference. We can do whatever we are doing from anywhere. And that's what's really cool about this space. And for me, what's close to my heart in this space is literacy is my big thing. So I'm a copywriter, content creator, and I'm all about communications, creativity, and content, really. And I coach as well. That's the core of my business. But for me, I also feel very strongly about women empowerment. women's empowerment, because there's so much that comes from women, and we carry so much and we do so much without even thinking about it, guys. You know, we do what's necessary, we show up, and we need to really stand in our strength with that. We need to really be able to just go, I've got a voice, I can take a stand, I can do something about whatever it is. And that's why I'm here. So
Great.
it,
So
yeah.
amazing. It is amazing.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool about the entire thing as well is the fact that the three of us are on completely opposite ends of, you know, Suzy ICT and Renata in your space with the environment and the forest in particularly. Myself, it's like just literacy. Everything is like guiding me into the space with youth and literacy. But here we sit and we still ultimately, bottom line, we are women. We've learned that on some level we are empowered and that we've got a story to share. So that's what this episode is all about. This is what this podcast is all about. So, Suzy, I'm going to ask you to share something with our listeners and with us. So tell us something about you that other people can probably relate to, but probably don't know about you.
Uh, really, I don't know. Relate. I don't know. I really don't. I really don't know what to say. I do a lot of things actually. I mean, I do one and so many things, and most of the time, people inbox me in a specific box. Like they put me in a category without really knowing the person. And I
Yes.
think when you, and personally, I don't think that's a good idea because you don't know the personality. It's not because I look like this or maybe the
Yes.
way I behave that I am in that box. So I think that's what, like,
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Did I answer your
Right.
question or maybe did I think?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what I'm getting from you, Suzy, is that this is me. I am multi-talented. Don't put me in a box. I'm not going to stay there.
I cannot because some people like when they look at you, they was like, okay, she's just a little girl. Huh? And what can she do? And then when they take time to discover you, they was like, okay, she's the what the job she's doing is too big for her. It's never too
Yes.
big for you. You don't know the person you have in front. You don't know the journey you had to go, the person had to go through to become at this level. Because as much as we are all human beings or we breathe the same air, we have different journey. We went through so many different things. And some people definitely go through things earlier in their life because of the mission they have and they have to carry
Yes.
it. So please don't put anybody in the box because of the age or how the person looks or what the person does. We are all different and alike at the
Right.
same time.
Yeah,
Right.
no labels.
No label.
Absolutely.
No labels at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
think I think we've learned by this point that none of us like being in a box really. And I mean, for me, this is like just completely resonates. That's why my company name is Paradox Rocks, because I rebranded about 2 years ago, because for me, it was just about embracing the fact that I work in the tech and the creative space, but also the fact that I do things differently. My brain just processes things in a very different way. And even my husband, I've been with my husband, we married for 17 years, we're together for 25 years. And some days he also has to still ask me, like, just rewind. How did you get from point A to point Z on that one, right? And it's just the way I think and the way my brain processes things. So for me, it's also just about embracing the fact that I do things differently, that I won't follow the same route as other people, but I'll also come up with a solution
That is
in
right.
my own way, right? So
I love that. I
yeah,
love
and I
that.
think, go
Yeah.
ahead, Suzy.
Yeah, I also love that because people have to at a certain point. This podcast is all about it. It's all about the fact that you accept the differences in people. Accept that people think. I don't think like Megan. Megan may be a planner. She said, "Okay, I want to do this," and she sits a plan. I am so bad at planning. When I have an idea, if you talk with me, if we have a conversation, you will notice that as soon as you're talking, immediately I am doing it. So I am not wasting time to like plan for the future. Like really know. I just do it immediately. And it's okay. It's okay to be like that. It's just so okay to be a planner too, because we need planners. And it's okay to just take spontaneous activity, to just do spontaneous action as long as it's
Right,
good, guys. You can,
right.
it is okay.
I
Absolutely.
think the most important thing is to know yourself, no? And
Yes.
and that's a journey, and that's not obvious, because we listen to so much the labels that people put in us, and so when you ask yourself, who am I? And I think this is an important question because you have
Absolutely.
to respect yourself.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. And I have to agree with that, Renata. And I think it's so important. And this is one of the big things for me in the youth space in particular, is being able to explore and discover your identity as a person, just knowing the answer to the who am I question.
Mm.
And then the next question is like, so I know I'm this. Where do I want to be after this? Right? What do I want to do after this? How do I see my life panning out? And what am I going to do, whether I'm planning or not, Suzy? It's, this is where I want it to go. And I think that's really important, because without that, you don't have the acceptance and the tolerance and the empathy to be able to relate to other people from across the world, from different walks of life. So I think that's really important, that inner work that makes you step into that space where you just become open to the possibility of being able to be with other people.
Yes, I definitely agree with you. And that also opens us to the word of, let's stop putting people in the box. Let's stop wanting to be like other people. I am different and I love being different. I will not be in the box. You cannot inbox me in a specific idea, a specific way of doing it. It will not work. You yourself, you will give up. And also, we judge a lot. Like judging people, please don't judge anybody. Everybody is
Yes.
like, your way of thinking is so special. Like I like it. I like your way of thinking, Mick. I like your way of thinking, Renata. And I like my way of thinking, and I accept it, and I love it. And once you, I think Megan said something very important. Like once you find yourself, it is so easy to accept yourself. Like once you find that, okay, I am this person. Me, I process things differently. I am not processing things like Mary does. I'm not processing things like Martha does. I am processing things like Susie does, and I'm
Yes.
Susie. So, and it's
Yes.
just so beautiful. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You want
Yes.
to climb in here, Renata?
Well, I think that's it, like respecting yourself and come to this journey with us. So we are going to talk about different things and start for them, learn about yourself. And that's, when someone come, as Susie said, to judge you, if you already know who you are, it's much easier to deal with.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
Absolutely. Yes. Thanks, Renata, and thanks, Suzy, for putting that in the penny in the plate as well. And what I wanted to also just bring into the conversation during this episode is what we think our viewers and our listeners are going to be bringing into our space, because that's what I'm excited about. I'm looking forward to some of the engagement, and hopefully, and we are inviting you, our viewers and listeners, share the topics that you want us to be discussing in this space, because we are going to be running from sports and which teams we support to how we grew up to marriage and our views on marriage and relationships and everything else in between. So if you have something that you feel would be a really good topic to be discussed by this panel and with this panel, please drop it in the comments, subscribe to our channel, like and share, and come and sit with us and just put your opinion and your perspective into our space as well. We'd love to have you.
Yes, and then on that, I just wanted to add, like, we are not the master of knowledge. Like, we don't know everything exactly as it goes, but we are ready and available to share our information with you. And if we shared something that you think that is half information or is not the right, please text, put in the text, please in the comment section, like, this is how it actually goes here. I'll be like, oh, somebody actually said this is how, because we also want to learn from you guys. And please make sure you share, you like, and you subscribe, guys. Thank you.
Yes, for sure, Suzy. I like that. You know, if you've got something to add to our conversations, please jump in. You might be the person that creates a new episode for us because the conversation needs to be had, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Renata, what are your thoughts here?
Well, I think that's it. So how we are going to discuss it, that's no truth, it's point of view. So
Yes.
and we are going to talk through our experience, and so everybody have different experience, so of course we are going to have different point of views, and that's
Yes.
that's what we want to share. Even with different point of views, we still have a lot of things in common, and how we are going to share that. Yeah.
Yes. Love that. Love that. Okay, so ladies, I think also there's one other thing in this space that I want to put out there today. So we already discussed the fact that we can make a difference as individuals, as a group, as a collab team. But what else is there that we're going to be bringing to this space? What do you think it is that Suzy, Renata, Megan, the combination, or the individuals is going to bring into this space that's going to make us stand up?
I personally,
Mm.
on my point of view, and I want to say we are bringing also how women see that perspective into play, because we are all women and we see differently. If we
Yes,
no, if you even if we want it or not, we see differently from how men see the world. So we are coming with that perspective of like, oh, as a woman, this is what I see, and how can I impact my community to see differently too? Because from where I'm from, we see things so differently than
yes,
being in the US. So the experience was so, it was like more of cultural shock, physical shock, eye shock, and everything was just a shock. So we bring that point of view. Like, we also went to different countries. Everybody here in this podcast has traveled to another country or has had an ability to stay in a different country than where they are from. So that perspective also we bring into place. Like, if I want to visit South Africa, Megan can
yes,
tell me where not to go. And
yes,
where to go,
yes,
things like that. And how do people think which word do I not have to say? Because
yes,
you can
yes,
you can turn another direction. Just the same
yes,
word in different countries. So I know a little bit about that, and I will surely share more
yes.
about it.
Renata, do you want to add something there?
Yeah. The other day I was talking with Suzy, and she said, "Oh, I don't feel I'm from Cameroon. I feel I'm a global citizen." And I really share this same feeling. I feel like I'm a global citizen too, because I think after a while we start to have our own, experience, and it's not just the experience we had in our own country.
Right.
I live in Africa, in South America, in Europe, now in the US, and that built a little bit of my experience, and of course build my personality in some way. And I love that, feel like we are global citizens. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
love that. Love that. And you know what this is making me think of, Renata, is the story that Suzy was telling us when very early on, when I initially met Suzy. She was saying her mom used to laugh at her when she said that she's going to be, what did she say? She's going to be riding in planes like they're taxis. And this was the young Suzy speaking. And exactly that, right? That's
Yeah,
what's happening, Suzy. We jump on a plane and we go. That's
and we
Suzy's
go.
life today. Absolutely. So, guys, that dream is there. It's there for a reason. Don't ignore it. It won't allow you to ignore it for too long, in any case. And I think each of us can attest to the fact that we were operating in different spaces very early on. And the more we got to know ourselves and the more we got to see things around us, things around the world, and how things were panning out, we sort of slipped into the spaces that we are today. And it's because that thing, that passion, that purpose draws you in, right? And it finds a way of keeping knocking at your door and to get you into a certain space. And I'm a firm believer that nothing happens without a reason. There is a reason for everything happening. And so when opportunities or new people or anything pops into my space, I go, right, let's see what this one's bringing into my world. And that's the way I've learned to deal with it. I can't say that I was that way inclined years ago, but now it's certainly a different thing. I see it as an opportunity walking through the door, because I don't know at this moment what Renata or Suzy is going to be teaching me and showing me, because each and every person is just a learning experience, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, because it makes you see the world without actually being there. Like, once I hear about what is happening in Brazil or maybe other countries, I'm like, oh, once I go to Brazil, I'm like, I know this, I know that, I know that, I know that,
Yes.
I know exactly that. Like,
Exactly.
you already have already seen it without actually being there. So
Yes. Yes. And I mean, Renata, you as well, you've been with work from very early on. You've been traveling a lot, and you've seen, the highs and the lows, and just all of that has shaped you and, gotten you to the point where you are today. And I always say to my youth, my students and so on, I always say to them, there's nothing like a lost experience. So it doesn't matter where you've been, where you think you've wasted your time. So many people say, you know what, I was only in that job for 3 months and it was such a waste of my energy. But you walk out of that experience with additional onboard knowledge, with additional experience that will serve you later on. So nothing is lost. And I don't think anything will happen without you needing to see or feel or experience something in that space that will help guide you into your next path, right? So I'm a firm believer in that, and I think it's important for especially our youth again to recognize that, because they have no idea what is going to be coming about in their lives moving forward, right? At 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I would not have seen myself here. And
definitely true.
It's crazy how things work out, but it's about actually just using all that experience and just finding that spot that's calling you and just go, let's go for it. Even if it's not a long thing, let's just have the adventure.
Yeah, I love it. And me, in the long run, I'm seeing this bigger than this. Like, I always have the bigger picture before how to put it at a smaller level. I see this having a real podcast where we actually go in a real studio and sit there, and the three of us are actually sharing about this, even if it's just once a week. Like, we just gather once a week.
Awesome.
Real studio, even if you have to fly there, guys. Plane is our taxi.
Awesome.
It's already our taxi.
Awesome.
We are working on that, having our personal jet, but we can go places like this. And actually show you live, guys. As we are talking, we want to show you, like, okay, yeah, mine in Brazil. This is how we do
Yes.
we do things here,
wow.
and we talk about it and actually laugh about it. But this is the future plan for this wonderful podcast.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm buying into that for sure. I'm looking forward to this year for the first time meeting 2 people that have been a part of my journey for more than 2-3 years. And that will happen in the new year. Sorry. So I'm looking forward to that. And so when people speak to me, like Suzy says, we action it now, we put it in motion. I'm going with you on that one, Suzy. I'm just going to say I'm putting a date and a thought process into us being in the same podcast space, right? We will make it happen.
We will make it happen. That is just
Yes.
so amazing, guys. Thank you for sharing. I think we come to the end of this wonderful episode. Thank you so much, guys. And episode 2 is coming soon. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Have a good one. We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
See you.
Yeah.
We're crossing oceans, crossing skies, lifting each other as we rise. No more limits, no more walls. Together we answer the world's calls. World without borders, we are free, telling the stories of humanity. No more divide, we stand as one. Together, together, our journey's begun.